So an example of a revision technique you can use is something known as dual coding, which solely has the purpose of including more visual images and limited amounts of information. Part of the revision comes in the fact that you're obviously making the revision sheet, but also the fact that you can then cover it and revise as you would with a knowledge atlas or any other kinds of revision tools or techniques. So I'm going to do an example here of waterfalls, which you learn about in rivers. So I've just drawn out two boxes here, but of course you don't have to do that. You can make it look as nice or as horrible as you want. Mine aren't going to be terribly neat. So I'm going to start with step 1 on the formation of a waterfall. So a waterfall can only form, and I'm going to, in this section I'm going to draw a diagram, when you have layers of more resistant and less resistant rock. You might look in your knowledge map and it's referred to as hard rock or soft rock, or online it's referred to as hard rock or soft rock. It doesn't really matter, it means the same thing. So I'm going to write more resistant here. I'm going to write less resistant here, i.e. resistant to erosion or the wearing away of the rock. And I'm going to put like a brief little description here, nothing too much because I want to be able to remember it easily. So I'm going to write more resistant. I could even shorten that and write MR, such as granite. It might not be in your knowledge map, but you can look it up. I know my class went through this. Must be on top of less resistant rock, such as sandstone. You could literally even write more resistant rock on top less resistant rock if you wanted to. It's as simple as you want it realistically. So number 2, for our waterfall to form, so I'm going to draw this image. We have differential erosion happening. So in this case, we need to have our more resistant rocks. I've limited this time to put MR on top of our less resistant rock again. But we notice here we've had something called differential erosion. They've eroded at different rates. Okay, so you can say here less resistant rock eroded before more resistant. You might want to be fancy and put an extra example. So e.g. a type of erosion might be hydraulic action. In the real exam, I'd want to go on then start saying how hydraulic action does this. And I carry on step by step explaining how our waterfall's formed. This could be used for lots of other things. So for instance here I could have a diagram of types of erosion. So I could have like abrasion here, hydraulic action going all the way down, and then the simple explanation of what that is. But the purpose of dual coding is simply to make sure, in fact I've got an example here that you can have a look at, is simply just to make sure that you include images to support any kind of explanations and to try and keep it as brief as possible. So if I was revising, I would cover that up and I'd be like, okay, abrasion is, if I can't remember, lift up, and I make sure that I revise using that. This can be used for lots of different topics, but I would definitely recommend using it for rivers.